Hollywood's never short on shocking truths, but when Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson drop subtle hints about why they'd never work with Tyler Perry, fans can't help but connect the dots. These aren't just whispers from red carpets or clickbait headlines. This is coming straight from the way these legends talk about their craft, their standards, and what they refuse to compromise on.
I don't do it for Oscars. I really don't care about that kind of stuff. You know, I've been at this a long time.
And when you line up their interviews, the philosophies, the values, the passion for storytelling, something becomes crystal clear. This isn't about personal beef, it's about art versus assembly lines, vision versus volume. So what exactly made these two icons, men who've worked with Spike Lee, Quentin Tarantino, and Tony Scott, draw a quiet line in the sand when it comes to Tyler Perry's empire? Because once you see what Denzel and Sam really stand for, you'll understand why this collaboration was never meant to happen.
Man gives the award, God gives the reward. I'm not that interested in Oscars.
I'm a college graduate. I'm a father, a husband, a son. I'm a good person with all that. I believe in treating man the way you want man to treat you. Yeah, I'm a movie star to you. To me, I'm just a guy with an interesting job.
Let's rewind for a second, because the deeper you go, the more revealing it gets. Tyler Perry built an empire from scratch, a creative factory that writes, directs, produces, and markets faster than anyone else in Hollywood. But that speed, that control, that's exactly what makes Denzel and Sam pause. When Denzel once said, "I'm about the process, not the product," he wasn't just talking about method acting. He was drawing a line between storytelling crafted from truth and projects designed for output. Sam echoed it years later, telling an interviewer he's not interested in rushing for content. Coincidence? Maybe not. Because when you start comparing how these men approach filmmaking to how Perry's empire operates, the contrasts are staggering. And that contrast might just be the quiet reason these Hollywood giants have kept their distance, not out of disrespect, but out of sheer creative difference. Now, to understand this tension, you have to see who Denzel and Sam really are behind the camera. Denzel treats every film like a spiritual experience, dissecting scripts, questioning motives, diving deep until the truth hurts. That's why you'll never catch him doing a movie just to stay relevant. Samuel L. Jackson, he's cut from the same cloth. Sharp, intentional, allergic to mediocrity. He's worked with everyone from Tarantino to Scorsese, and he knows when something feels manufactured. Perry's fast-paced production system, often shooting full films in less than 2 weeks, just doesn't fit that philosophy. To Denzel and Sam, acting isn't assembly, it's alchemy. They want dialogue that breathes, moments that marinate, not scenes pumped out like episodes on an assembly line. And when you listen closely, you can hear it. The subtle frustration of artists watching Hollywood turn into content. But here's where it gets interesting, because while Denzel and Sam chase excellence, Perry's chasing ownership, total control. He writes every script, directs every scene, and runs his Atlanta studio like a one-man army. For many, that's legendary. For others, it's suffocating. In one interview, Denzel said, "You can't do 10 things well at once, you've got to respect the craft." That quote hit fans differently once they started comparing it to Perry's record-breaking output, and Sam's comment about filmmakers needing friction to find truth added more fuel to the fire, because Perry's process doesn't leave much room for debate or challenge. So maybe it's not that these legends refuse to work with Perry, it's that they'd never thrive under his system. Because for artists who live for collaboration, critique, and tension, working in a creative bubble feels less like freedom and more like isolation. To Tyler Perry, speed is power. He's proud of shooting entire seasons in record time, sometimes wrapping a 20-episode show in under a month. To him, it's efficiency. To Denzel and Sam, it's compromise. Denzel once said, "I don't rehearse to memorize, I rehearse to discover." That's not a process you can rush. Sam takes it even further. In one talk, he said, "You earn real moments between takes, that's where truth lives." But Perry's machine doesn't leave space for that kind of discovery. His actors rarely get time to explore nuance. The focus is on speed, not soul. It's not arrogance, it's a difference in purpose. Perry wants ownership and legacy. Denzel and Sam want truth and craftsmanship. And in a business where control often outweighs creativity, those two worlds can't peacefully coexist. Not without someone sacrificing what they stand for. Tyler Perry changed the game, there's no denying that. He built a billion-dollar studio, gave thousands of jobs to Black creators, and proved that you don't need Hollywood's approval to make Hollywood money. That kind of independence is revolutionary. But with that independence comes isolation. Perry doesn't have a traditional writer's room. He doesn't share scripts or take notes. It's his vision, start to finish. For actors like Denzel and Sam, that's a red flag. They thrive in collaboration, in the creative push and pull that makes great art timeless. Denzel once admitted, "I learned the most from being challenged." Perry's process, as brilliant as it is, doesn't invite challenge. It demands trust. And for actors who've built entire legacies on questioning everything, blind trust feels like surrender. Fans have noticed the disconnect too. Every time a big Tyler Perry project drops, people wonder why A-list veterans like Denzel or Sam aren't part of it. The answer might be simpler than people think. It's not personal, it's philosophical. Because while Perry aims to represent the culture, Denzel and Sam interrogate it. Denzel dives into the psychology of power and pain. Sam exposes hypocrisy with humor and edge. Perry, meanwhile, tells stories of faith, redemption, and struggle, but often through repetition, not reinvention. So when these worlds collide, it's like oil and water. Perry's empire speaks to accessibility. Denzel and Sam speak to artistry. Both are valid, both are powerful, but they live on opposite ends of the creative spectrum, and neither seems willing to cross that line just to make headlines. The real irony? All three men have the same goal: to elevate Black storytelling, but they differ in how to do it. Perry believes in scale. Denzel and Sam believe in substance. Perry's studio stands as proof that you can own your work. Denzel's career stands as proof that you can refine it. And while Sam respects Perry's hustle, he said as much. He's also been clear about his standards. Not every opportunity is the right one. That's the kind of subtle boundary only a veteran can draw. It's not shade, it's self-awareness. Behind the smiles and mutual respect lies a silent understanding that working together might look good on paper but feel wrong in spirit. Because sometimes saying no is the most respectful thing an artist can do, especially when both sides are fighting for the same truth, just through different tools. Hollywood insiders have whispered about this tension for years. You'll see it between the lines in interviews, in the way both sides speak with careful diplomacy. Denzel once said, "Everyone's lane has value, but not every lane's meant for me." Fans caught that and instantly connected it to Perry's factory-style filmmaking. Sam, never one to sugarcoat, has voiced similar thoughts. During a panel, he laughed off a question about working with Perry, saying, "Man, I need time to breathe between lines." The crowd chuckled, but the subtext was clear. He wasn't joking. These aren't digs, they're truths wrapped in tact. In an industry obsessed with branding, these quiet refusals speak louder than any tweet or headline. Because when legends like Denzel and Sam take a stand through absence, it says more than any public statement ever could. Now, to Perry's credit, he's heard the critiques, and he doesn't flinch. He's built his career on proving doubters wrong. When asked about working alone, he famously replied, "If I waited for everyone to agree, I'd still be waiting." That's the essence of his empire: resilience over approval. He sees control as protection. Hollywood didn't open doors for him, so he built his own house and locked it tight. To him, collaboration isn't rejection, it's risk. Every note, every rewrite, every delay could threaten his creative flow. And when you've come from nothing, that control becomes your armor. But that armor also creates distance. Perry's success, while historic, exists in a vacuum, admired but rarely challenged. And in a space where challenge sharpens greatness, that isolation might be both his power and his prison. Here's where the story becomes almost poetic, because all three men are chasing legacy, just in radically different ways. Perry wants to be the empire builder, the man who proved ownership matters more than approval. Denzel wants to be the craftsman, the man who protected integrity over convenience. Sam wants to be the connector, the artist who elevates culture through truth and risk. These aren't rivals, they're reflections of the same dream, shaped by different scars. Perry's legacy is about access, Denzel's is about authenticity, Sam's is about freedom. Each path costs something: time, collaboration, or control. And maybe that's the beauty of it. None of them are wrong, they just represent the three ways Black excellence fights to survive in an industry that wasn't built for it. The truth is, fans might never see Denzel or Sam on a Tyler Perry set, not because of ego, but because of ethos. They value precision, where Perry values pace. They crave dialogue that breathes, while he thrives in movement. It's the eternal dance between art and efficiency. Still, the irony lingers. They're all preaching empowerment, just speaking different dialects of the same gospel. Perry says, "Own your story." Denzel says, "Earn your story." Sam says, "Question your story." Each truth cuts deep, and together, they paint a fuller picture of what creative independence really means. So when people ask why don't they work together, maybe the answer isn't conflict, maybe it's respect, the kind that lets giants stay in their lanes without colliding. Because real power in Hollywood isn't about joining forces, it's about standing firm in what you believe, even when the world wants a crossover. As the dust settles on years of speculation, one thing becomes clear: this isn't a feud, it's a fork in the road. Denzel, Sam, and Tyler are all building legacies, but they're writing from different blueprints. One is rooted in mastery, the other in momentum. One slows down to find truth, the other speeds up to change systems. And maybe that's why their paths rarely cross. Denzel and Sam still believe in the alchemy of collaboration, the back and forth that forges greatness. Perry believes in the purity of control, a single vision, undiluted. It's not opposition, it's evolution. Because when you step back, these three aren't contradicting each other. They're defining the full spectrum of what it means to be a Black creative in power, one protecting the craft, one protecting the process, and one protecting the purpose. But the real takeaway here isn't just about them, it's about us, the audience. We love to compare greatness to rank art like competition. Yet what Denzel, Sam, and Tyler reveal is that greatness has many languages. Some create for legacy, some create for liberation. Both matter. Denzel once said, "You can't be of service to art if you're chasing applause." Perry, in his own words, said, "I make what I needed to see when I was struggling." And Sam, he lives between both worlds, driven by honesty, not optics. When you see it that way, it's less a clash and more a conversation about values. These men represent the evolution of Black storytelling, from fighting for inclusion to fighting for intention. And that's the story Hollywood rarely tells. Three visions, one purpose, creative freedom. In a strange way, the very gap between them keeps the culture balanced. Perry shows what's possible when you own your tools. Denzel shows what's possible when you respect the process. Sam shows what happens when you merge courage with craft. Together, they represent the triangle of power every artist needs to navigate. And while they may never share a film set, they've already shared something more powerful: impact. Every speech, every project, every interview adds another chapter to a larger story about discipline, vision, and staying true when fame tries to pull you off track. Maybe they don't need to work together. Maybe they already are in spirit. Each one filling the gap the other leaves, proving that legacy isn't about imitation, it's about integration. So what do you think? Should Denzel Washington and Samuel Jackson ever team up with Tyler Perry, or would that creative collision destroy what makes each of them great? Drop your thoughts below, because this conversation is bigger than Hollywood. It's about how we define quality, ownership, and art in a world that keeps blurring the lines. And remember, sometimes saying no to collaboration doesn't divide greatness, it preserves it. Because true artistry isn't about doing it all. It's about knowing exactly where you stand and having the courage to stand there even if you're